I've gotten several comments asking me about my thoughts about the amazing Digital Circus, and I can't blame them. Every time there's a big, fun new indie animation or project coming out, people naturally want to engage with it as much as they can. After all, there's only one episode and a handful of behind-the-scenes things. When you're excited about something, but there's only a limited amount of official product to watch and engage with, then fan reviews and commentary can be one of the best ways to further dive into this fun new world you've been introduced to, on top of other classic fandom things like fanfiction or fan art. And I can't deny that I was interested in Digital Circus when it aired. I didn't keep up with its progress or anything. I haven't watched anything from Glitch Productions before. I was just intrigued by the character design. However, I was also very hesitant about discussing this pilot, mostly because fandom culture can be scary. The last thing I threw myself into when it hit the scene was Welcome Home, and that fanbase became immediately uninviting. And I feel like, especially when it's an indie project, the fanbase around it tends to be much more sensitive and overly protective of it, and I'll be honest, I do have some critiques of Digital Circus. The idea of a fandom being overly protective makes me not want to share those critiques. But I have decided it's not fair to put the cart before the horse, and maybe if I address this early, then we can try to make strides to keep the fanbase around Digital Circus a fun and inviting place. And more importantly, I like the idea of the show already. I want to see more of it. I can't deny I'm instantly intrigued by the mystery of the story. On that note, I highly suggest you watch the pilot before watching the rest of this video, if you haven't seen it yet. Not only does Digital Circus deserve the support and attention, it was clearly a big project to get finished. Lots of people worked really hard on it, and they deserve praise for their efforts. But also, I don't want to spoil all of the fun parts of the pilot. That wouldn't be fair to Glitch Productions either. My ultimate goal is to address what I think is done very, very well, and also address where I think they can improve, because I do want to see them continue to improve more and more. So let's just get right into it. The animation is obviously stunning. I've started to dabble with 3D animation myself, so I understand just how much technical effort went into making this show look this polished. I'm especially impressed with the stretchiness of the characters. That's usually one of the downsides of working with a 3D model. You gain more consistency, but lose those loosey fluidity movements you can achieve with traditional 2D animation. I cannot express this enough. This animation is very technically impressive. I'm also impressed with the textures of everything. The shine on their eyes and Keynes' teeth/gums. They have water effects and a ribbon character and a doll character. Everything looks spot on. Everything is intricately different yet cohesive together. This was not easy, and they've made it look easy. I will point out that I'm amazed at how many characters have big bugged out eyeballs, and personally I think they're gross, but also I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be gross. There is a body horror element to the show after all. So well done in that regard, I guess. Speaking of themes, I like the aesthetic feeling of this world. I have to point out how this world is creative and very intriguing to see. It can often feel like every interesting story structure or unique world has been explored by now, so it's cool seeing an actually refreshing twist for our setting and style. I love the designs of each character. They all have such striking shapes and silhouettes, and all feel so creative. We have a fun array of body types, even with their toy-designed bodies, and I love how their names are very unique and often invoke the idea of the character. Like, you can't mistake which character is named Ragatha. I actually spent quite a lot of time thinking about each character's names, because I was wondering how all of them chose their names when they entered the Digital Circus. They all make it clear that you can't remember your name when you enter the circus, so that means they all had to choose their own names somehow? Kane chose Pomni's name for her. Did he choose everyone's? It's an interesting bit of in-universe lore that I found fascinating, so it's good that each character's name is memorable and recognizable. I mentioned it before, but the mystery of the show is the most interesting thing to me. I was immediately hooked with this conundrum of being trapped in this world. I feel like fan theories especially will be a ton of fun to speculate on as as the show progresses. Narratively, this first episode hits every nail on the head, especially with leaning into that mystery it's established. As we walk down this hallway of bedrooms, we can clearly see there are doors with faces crossed out. This instantly intrigued me. What happened to them all? We then quickly get the answer when we see Kaufmo has abstracted. It's given us enough of an answer to move the plot forward, but still leaves us with plenty of questions to chew on as we theorize with the rest of the show. How many people have been abstracted before? What exactly causes abstraction? What causes this glitched effect when you get touched by an abstracted person? How does Kane fix it so easily? What's going on in the basement and in the void? If Kane can fix a glitched person, can he not also fix an abstracted person? And if not, is there any way to fix them? It's all very exciting to think about. The design of this world is very recognizable, but I especially love how much it's contrasted with the two quote-unquote darker places we see. The Gloink Den is clearly meant to look creepier compared to the tent that they live in, but it's still bright and fun in its own right, which really highlights just how unnerving the exit hallway is. There's no zany colors, no noisy decorations around, just a horrifyingly realistic set of hallways. That really highlights that body horror of being stuck in the shape Pomni is in. Finally, comedy is subjective. It's super subjective, so take this with a grain of salt, but I am a sucker for glitchy styled jokes. This sort of thing cracks me up. This moment especially, oh my god. I can't stop thinking about it. It's just hilarious. It's so simple, but it's so funny. Dialogue-wise, only Kane really got a laugh out of me, which surprised me. I didn't expect him to end up being that funny, but the voice actor's performance for him really hit the nail on the head. Oh, also, the soundtrack is phenomenal. That final song is especially fantastic. It's very recognizable and appropriately grandiose. Like I just said, comedy is subjective. Take it with a grain of salt. But a lot of the jokes, especially right at the very beginning of the episode, just did not work for me. This part where Pomni tries to swear and she can't just went on for way too long for me. Like cut this in half, you know, and I think it would have landed much better. Rule of threes and everything. This will probably be the most controversial take in this video, but I don't like Jax. I can feel how he's supposed to be funny, but his more melancholic voice doesn't seem to be working with the jokes he's trying to say. It's way too drawn out and doesn't have the right kind of inflection I think the jokes really need to better land. But it might not just be a Jax thing. I think it might just be more noticeable with him because of how he talks with a much more slowly drawn out way to reflect his lazy/disinterested attitude. But the pauses between a lot of the dialogue felt a little too long for me, like just a couple of seconds too long between each character. Sometimes, especially with Ragatha, I noticed you hear her breath in between lines, and I feel like maybe we could have cut those out and it would have helped speed up things a little bit. Again, it's all mostly right at the beginning of the episode too. It was hard for me to really get hooked into the episode because the jokes just weren't landing and everything felt really slow. I actually initially gave up on the pilot at about the point where the Gloinks showed up because I was just bored. Only after a few days did I come back and finish the rest of it. I know it can be hard to establish your world and characters and jazz up a talking head scene all at the same time, but I don't know. Maybe it's also because every character is noticeably disinterested in engaging with Kane and this world, so then it makes me also feel disinterested in engaging with it all too. It is a bit of a double-edged sword with this plotline, really. After all, the characters not wanting to be here is kind of the whole point, but I don't know, maybe Gangle or Kinger or Ragatha would be more interested in playing along with Kane's antics, even just for the audience's sake. As much as I love the designs of the characters, I think the environment is a detriment when it comes to accentuating them. The background is very, very bright and colorful, with a lot of different patterns crisscrossing around. It's very busy. Visually, my eyes tend to get lost, bouncing all around the different things things on screen. The patterns in the background and the zaniness of the character designs make it all a little bit overwhelming, and often the background is drawing my eye away from the actual characters. I feel like we haven't seen many parts of the tent, so theoretically they could play around a lot more with the environments that are still visually fantastical and also appropriately circusy, but still help to make the characters pop more. And that's really all there is. I don't have many gripes with the pilot, but I think even these few things can be important to consider. Even just little tweaks can take a great product and make it even better, and I would love to see the show get better and better and better. Like I said, I'm hooked on the mystery, and I find these characters interesting and engaging, and I want to see more from them. The folks at Glitch Productions said they want to have a full season for Digital Circus, and I'd love to see that. It's unique and creative, and it's immensely impressive as an indie product. Show them some love and support for putting all this together for this massive project, because they really deserve it. Shout out to my $10 patrons, you're all amazing. Nako, Andrew, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, G Extreme, Classy Critic, Noah Perkins, Sunny Shy, Jake, Amber, Hype Man, Zero to Hero, Isaiah, Scaring Crows, Not All That Evil, Messiah Complex, Jacob, Ben Sketchbook, The Watcher, Omega Fighter, Trash, Wild Pilot, Josh, Swift Cannon, The Infinity Effect, Gino, Twisty, and Juan. So yeah, I hope you liked this video. I mean no ill will. I just want to point out how things are really, really good and how things can improve, which is important for growing and honing your skills more. So if you have any thoughts on what's done really, really well and where you think the show could improve, I would love to see those in the comments. Also, make sure to check out Digital Circus. There's a link to it in the description of my video. I'm sure you've probably seen it already, but just in case, you really should check it out, and I want to see your thoughts and opinions. Leave them in the comments below, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.